Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Orange Zeppelin, and today we have... I almost missed the screen there. We have an Art Snacks box being opened in the correct month this time. You may recall February. Well, there was a period of convalescence going on in February, and you guys will be happy to hear that I no longer sound like a dying animal. So, let's make it... Let's see what's in this box here. In our March box, we have, I already see that we have some gouache, some yellow gouache, and I really like gouache. That is our first thing on the list. Oh my gouache, they said it best. An opaque paint with a high pigment load. This is a unique gouache that becomes more fluid as it's mixed, allowing you to cover large areas evenly. It also dries quickly within minutes and uniformly to a velvety matte finish. I'm happy to hear that. I like gouache a lot. I would compare it to some weird combination of acrylic and watercolor, like a halfway point, maybe even a halfway point between watercolor and oils because of how good it blends. It's a medium that I really like and would encourage everybody to check out. We also have an airhead. These, as I recall, have a little bit of a wet sand texture when you start eating them, but hey, no complaints, it's free candy. Let's actually open this up to see what we got. I got so excited about my gouache. Alright. I hope you guys can't hear the deluge of rain that just started outside. Oh, this is a... Celebrating 10 years of Art Snacks, we have a special sticker. I like that. I think I will put it on my big black notebook that I do a lot of my looser sketches in. Or I might actually just keep that in my sticker collection, because that is cool. We've already got one of these... We've got, what am I trying to articulate here? I don't know, man. We've got one of these brushes that we have gotten before. Alternatives water brush. These, I've said before, these are really convenient for when you're going to do some kind of watercolor or watercolor pencil work on the go, because you can just fill this all up with water and then you don't have to have a water bucket with you, which I remember being a big pain when doing plein air painting. I used to basically, I'd have all my stuff with me, I'd have my empty protein powder bucket, and then I gotta find a public restroom somewhere to fill it up with, or just go down to the water and scoop up some ocean water to paint with. This will make your life quite a bit easier. So that's what we're going to be using today. We also have a Tombow Fudenosuke. I might have said that wrong, I apologize. Twin tip brush pen. This has black and gray. Oh, this is... Oh, I like that. That is a very nice fine tip that we have. I already got some on myself. And we have our gray. Is it really a good art session if you did not get any of your material on yourself? So this will be nice to use for our detail work. And then, last but not least, we have two Derwent Chromaflow colored pencils. And this one is a staff favorite. Let's see, is there anything special about our colored pencils? Looks like they're just cool colored pencils, and we have denim and grass green. So our color scheme that we have here, yellow, green, and blue. So we will see what we can make with that, but first let's do some swatching. Alright, so we have this sketchbook prepared. This is entirely for my looser and messier sketches, which I think it serves that purpose well, because I can't really scan out of this gigantic thing. I am going to apply our brand new sticker right to the spine here, you'll see I've got a couple other Art Snack stickers already on it. I think that looks like a good spot for it. All right, let's see. Okay, so I have my pen loaded with some water. I've got a nice, reasonably clean rag. It's cleaner than the other one off camera. You don't want to see the state of that one. And then we have our gouache, and I should have grabbed a palette. Do I have my palette? There we go. Now we have our palette. Actually, no, I don't want that palette. Never mind. Where's my other palette? This palette. Alright. This is what I like to use for my watercolors and my gouache. That other one I prefer for acrylics. It doesn't really matter, but I like to separate things anyway, especially if you're going to do any oil painting. I have a designated oil painting palette also. Okay. We're going to crack this sucker open, and this is admittedly not good paper to do this on, because it's not gonna be the best. But I did manage to, I'm knocking things over off camera. You can kind of see, maybe, I don't know if you can see, I did manage to do some watercoloring on this in that life drawing session I did a while ago. Don't mind the random crashing noises. Okay. Let's test this out. How is this looking? Let us load a little bit onto the brush. I didn't dilute it very much. And this is a pretty small brush, so I really think that we're going to want to do a kind of small piece. This is going down nice and bright. Let's add a little more water. And then you'll see why this isn't... Can you even see what I'm doing? Oh my god. Okay. Now you can see what I'm doing. You can see why this isn't the best paper for the job, because the moisture is just... It's creating kind of a weird texture, but I did just want to do some really loose... Oh no, let's draw a cat really quickly. Let's see. I like that it is a nice bright color. And the way they describe it sounds like it would be really good for backgrounds, or just doing a flat background for working on top of, because sometimes yellow is a really good starting point for an illustration. We've got a very nice, bright, sunny yellow to work with. And then I want to see, I'm going to put my airhead over there. All right, let us take a look at this pen right here. I like having gray pens on hand, usually like gray brush pens. I use those a lot in my comic Gobliterated because I can just very quickly get a lot of different tones on just about any paper I'm using. Or sometimes using a watercolor wash or just an ink wash, I need to be a little more careful about my paper. Actually, what happens if I go over... Does anything interesting happen when I go over the water? Not really. Alright. Having a nice, fine black pen is always super, super useful. This will be interesting to see how this looks when I wait for our watercolor to dry. Alright, let's see what our pencils feel like, our colored pencils. I am a little opinionated on colored pencils. I don't like when they're too waxy. I don't think that feels bad though. I like how that color is going down. I'm not having to press very hard on the paper at all to get the color down. That is one of those big complaints that I have about colored pencils. I feel like Prismacolors are really, really good for a lot of things. Crayola colored pencils, you can get them to work, but it's not the greatest thing in the world. I know everybody says rose art is the most awful thing, but I think I have heard they might have improved their formula quite a bit, and I remember using rose art as a kid and not hating it. So, or rose art colored pencils anyway. So maybe the colored pencils, that's like the one thing they had down. Maybe everything else, they didn't know what they're doing. Actually, I'm going to put a little more force into that. There we go. Actually, you can get a really good gradient with not a whole lot of effort here. So I like that quite a bit. I'm going to do more colored pencil stuff in general, because that's a medium that I used a lot when I was just starting out learning how to make art. Since it's reasonably very cheap, I think I got a really good set of Prismacolors when I was pretty young making comics, but I remember a set of colored pencils that came with one of those How to Draw Manga books, the one that's actually called How to Draw Manga, that I got in the Scholastic Book Fair, and they gave you just the worst colored pencils with that book. Oh my goodness. But it was a start, and I did have fun using them. Alright, so, in conclusion, I like these. I just kind of hung out scribbling rather than actively doing anything. But I think we've got ourselves a decent swatch happening. Now, what is the real question here is, what am I going to do with this? With our color scheme. I kind of have an idea, so I'm going to work on some ideas and then I will be back. Alright, so I have done a little bit of sketching, coming up with some ideas, and this little guy right here, this is a character named Ukko, and he's from a comic called Slaine. You might also have heard the comic called Slaine, and he is just this delightful little goblin-y man, and he's not actually a goblin, but he has goblin energy, and we like goblin energy here on this channel, so he, I think, is an excellent art subject. I'm actually drawing Slaine himself, working on a piece that I'm going to be posting later in the week. I'm trying to time it for St. Patrick's Day, actually. So I'm working on him, but today I think we're going to draw a wonderful portrait of Ukko, and what I want to do, we're going to create a flat field of the yellow gouache. I don't know if you can hear my cat meowing outside my door. We're going to create a flat field of our yellow gouache, and that's going to kind of serve as our highlight on his skin tone, and it's going to be our background. I'm going to use the green as our midtone, and the blue as a little bit of our darker shading, and then I'm going to do something similar with this right here. This is going to be our shade one step darker than the blue, and then I'll have a little bit of the black. And I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to do the little knotwork thing on the side, because I'm actually going to try to use only what is in the box. I'm not going to use any pencil, and if I'm going to do actually good knotwork, I'm going to need to pencil things out. So I might skip the knotwork. I did attempt to do a little Art Snacks knotted pretzel, and I think I'm getting a little more like intestinal texture than Celtic knotwork, so I don't know, but it looks neat. I think a more finished design, actually I could probably go in and make a nicer little Art Snacks logo there. I'll send it to Art Snacks and maybe they'll make it into a sticker. But for today we're gonna work on Ukko, and we are going to be using this paper here from this notepad that I got. I think I got this for Christmas. This is a nice sturdy paper, and you can already see that, I don't know, can you tell at all? This paper, it's already so much better than this right here. So having tested this out, I'm pretty confident this will work a lot better than my test paper. So Let's see how that goes.
men down on the dead man power. We the red men, feathers in our head, men down on the dead man power. In bitter stars that cast their shine upon the wilderness. Shame and flood the moon's descending curse. Leaping in clairvoyance, painted savages are drawn. Locked in dire sacrifice, the dance and dire dawn. We are the red men, feathers in our head men, down with the dead man. We are the red men, feathers in our head men, down with the dead man who's power. Toughen up the spawn and die. Hard summers ending as you walk through the arid wilderness. You can hear my battle cry. We were torn from shackles and chains. We were born to run in the hills. We were toughen up the spawn and die. Hard summers ending as you walk through the arid wilderness. You can hear our battle cry.
All right, I think we're just about done here. However, I kind of lied when I said we were only going to use the contents of the box because you know me, I have to do this. We need a little bit of white highlights, and I'm just going to add them in his eyes and just on his teeth. Maybe a little bit on his nose. Actually, should I use this one? Or I'm going to use this one here. We're just going to add a little tiny bit. It doesn't even have to be very much. But I think this is going to look very effective. There we go. I've been really liking this white brush that I got. I think in a previous Art Snacks video. I'm pretty sure. I don't exactly remember now. I think it was in an Art Snacks video. And I've used it on several projects since. So this was a really good... This was a really good tool to get. Alright, we're just going to get a little bit on his teeth. I don't feel like this guy has particularly pearly white teeth. Alright, I am liking how this is looking. Really liking how this has turned out. But actually, let's just add a tiny bit. I don't want to completely overdo it. Just enough to make him stand out a little bit, because I kind of wanted the yellow to be the lightest tone on his face. But because my background is yellow, he needs to stand out just like a tiny, tiny bit more. And I think that right there, give him a little highlight in the eye, just a little bit there. Alright, I think that is finished. Well, almost finished anyway. Now it is finished. Alright, I like how that turned out. This paper definitely worked way, way better than my test paper. And one thing I forgot to mention when I was showing off my swatch here is this dried super, super fast on this paper compared to my test paper. So it is very quick drying. I am very happy with that. So this is something that I think will work very well for a purpose like this, where you're just throwing it on a background and you're adding layers on top. And then obviously for any other gouache related purpose, I am getting goobers of gouache on myself. You can see I even smudged on the corners, but that's okay. We're drawing a little goblin archetype guy. I think properly speaking, Ukko is a dwarf, but he's an honorary goblin. As a goblin enthusiast, he is well welcome among our ranks. So, in conclusion, that was these weren't part of the Art Snacks box. There we go. This was our March Art Snacks box. Very happy with everything I got here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you had a good time, and I hope you found this video informative, or at the very least just entertaining, and I hope you have a great time making art.